What's up, Bears? So, Final Fantasy 16 has been delayed by about 6 months, surprising no one. It was really, as conventions came and went, and PlayStation State of Plays came and went, it really became obvious that this game was not going according to the original schedule that Yoshi P came out with when he initially revealed Final Fantasy 16 in 2020. Now, this is understandable considering we're still in the middle of a pandemic. And with this delay, we're now getting more transparency about games that were in active development when the pandemic hit. How did COVID really affect the release timeline of these titles? Well, with Final Fantasy 16's delay, we're getting a clearer picture of this, and especially across the games industry in general, and especially games that have a worldwide reach. And that was the big thing about FF16, is that it's being developed not just by Square Enix Japan, they're using assets from other countries as well, and developers in other countries. So yeah, the pandemic really put a damper on FF16's development, and now we're seeing a delay by about 6 months, which is still not horrible, and it's especially not horrible considering that when that launch trailer first was revealed, the game looked not as smooth as what it should have been. I feel like optimization is really going in strong about FF16 because based off of Yoshi P's updates, this game seemed like it was getting closer and closer to release. In fact, had it not been for the pandemic, we would either have the game out by now, or we'd be in the marketing period leading up to launch. I always felt like FF16 was going to launch in late 2021, early 2022. Having it delayed by 6 months shifts the timeline to a point where it's not that far off from my initial prediction. So if this game is going to be officially re-revealed in the spring, as Yoshi P is talking about, then I would gather that it's going to launch a little bit after this reveal, because Yoshi P said he didn't want to re-reveal FF16 until they were closer to release, and that seems to line up with their launch strategy of maybe possibly fall 2022. I could see FF16 being out by fall 2022, well before the Game Awards launches. But what does this mean for another high-profile game being developed by Square Enix that yours truly is a huge fan of? What about FF7 Remake Part 2? Now, that's going to be a tough one because you don't really want to see Square Enix promoting two big high-profile Final Fantasies at the same time. But it's not out of the realms of possibility. FF13 was revealed before 12 even came out. The way that I see it is, with FF16's delay, Remake Part 2 has also been delayed. But FF7 Remake is being developed in-house by Square Enix using Unreal Engine. It's not the worldwide reach that 16 has, so that could work in Remake Part 2's favor. However, it's all about marketing and when you want to be able to unleash the curtain on FF7 Remake Part 2. Everyone knows that it exists, everyone knows that it's in development, but unfortunately, everyone doesn't know when this thing is actually going to be revealed, let alone released. 2023 would mark 3 years since Part 1 came out. Part 2 has been in active development since October of 2019. How much COVID ravaged the development? That remains to be seen, but as I said, with the delay of FF16, it's giving a clearer picture of just games across the board that were in active development during COVID, and with FF7 Remake Part 2, a 6-month delay is not out of the realms of possibility for that title, especially when you look at other games that Square Enix announced that were delayed. Dragon Quest X Offline has been delayed in Japan. You're seeing more of a clearer picture, and that right now is what we can work with given the circumstances that we have, and we're going to see more and more developers come out of the woodwork with delays and explaining exactly what was happening. We still have yet to see NetherRealm's latest fighter. That was not revealed at the Game Awards like everyone was anticipating. There were a lot of things at the Game Awards that people were anticipating that just did not come to fruition. Now, we have an understanding of why, especially with FF16's delay. And it's not all doom and gloom because Square does have titles coming out in the first quarter of 2022 between Forspoken, Stranger of Paradise, even though that game needs another year. My god, that demo was rough. And Project Triangle Strategy. All of these games, they look like they've got a little bit of production value to them. I don't see them being a Balan Wonderworld or a Left Alive where Square was like, oh, here's this game. Just release it. There you go. You have X amount of days to work on it. Good luck. With FF7 Remake Part 2, they are really going to take time to make this right. And when they do reveal it, we're going to have a clearer picture of the remake project as a whole. How many parts is it going to be? Where is it going to end? When did we get ice cream? Now that FF16 has an expected reveal in the spring of 2022, and what I would think a release date in fall of 2022, possibly even early 23, I am anticipating that we may get a teaser of Part 2 at E3, but nothing groundbreaking. I really think that Part 2's big reveal is going to happen at the Game Awards of next year, because that will mean that FF16 is out in the wild, or pretty much close to it, and Square is going to be ramping up their next big title, and what better place to do that when all eyes are on you than the Game Awards. So if anybody is anticipating FF7 Remake Part 2 news this year, it's going to be a little cloudy. I mean, it is the 35th anniversary of the Final Fantasy series as a whole, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have big reveals planned, because I've seen anniversaries of Square Enix titles come and go, and nothing. Crickets. And especially given the circumstances of the pandemic, you know, it could put a damper on everything. Either way, when Yoshi P says he needs more time to work on a masterpiece, he needs more time to work on a masterpiece. A 6-month delay in the grand scheme of things is not bad, considering Square Enix's track record, but this is Yoshi P we're talking about. Guy's in a different echelon when it comes to his own company, so I expect FF16 to be a masterpiece, and I expect Yoshi P to have another groundbreaking game released out into the wild, and only when that game is out into the wild will we start to see Remake Part 2 news really amp up.